Good afternoon. Welcome to this live episode of In Conversation. My name is Karl. I'm joined by Katherine today. Hi, Katherine. How you doing?
Hi, Karl. I'm really well, thank you.
Fantastic. Katherine, we last spoke going back, it must have been end of May around then. And it's scary that the academic year is very nearly to an end. It's the time's going by way too quickly. And of course, looking ahead, we've got that big results, A-level results day coming up on the 14th of August. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time today just looking through what we should expect on the 14th of August and any changes that may be coming up. Katherine, shall we start with looking at the sector behaviour? Are we expecting many places to come up in relation to clearing and confirmation on the 14th?
Yeah, Karl, I mean, it is scary how the time flies, isn't it? And actually, for us working in an admissions office, confirmation clearing really starts in very early July. So A-level results day feels like a way off, but we're going to be busy confirming things like IB results very, very shortly, and also other international qualifications. So all of that activity is very much underway. But you are right. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the sector goes through the main clearing period in August. My guess would be that it will be a very lively clearing period with lots of opportunities for young people. That really relates to what's going on overall in the sector, which is clearly a shortfall in terms of postgraduate international applicants, and that's kind of nationwide. We're seeing those trends. And so universities will be very keen to ensure that they have good, strong undergraduate cohorts to keep their student numbers nice and buoyant. So I think it will be a good summer of opportunity for many of our young people, which is nice.
And Katherine, you talk about lively and sort of buoyant in terms of the possible climate that may arise on the 14th. What do we mean by that? So does that in effect mean that we're likely to see many more places than perhaps we haven't seen in the past? Are we likely to see, and I guess, and I know this is a lot of crystal ball gazing, but are we likely to see a lot of students perhaps moving around if they've done better or anticipated, got better results than what they anticipated?
Yeah.
Is that what we're referring to?
It is, because actually clearing in general over the last 3 or 4 cycles has been used much more prominently for students who are what we would call direct to clearing. They perhaps haven't had a UCAS application earlier in the main cycle at all, or indeed they are, as you suggest, switching around. So some advisors may be aware now that both unconditional firm and, under some circumstances, conditional firm candidates can decline their place and put themselves directly into clearing. They should only do that if they've got a firm offer of a place somewhere else. But the availability of that function means that candidates can quite easily move themselves around. And of course, if there are lots of universities that wouldn't previously have been offering places in clearing, looking to make up those international shortfalls I've referred to, then we may see some clearing offerings from universities that traditionally have been very low recruiters in clearing. It wouldn't be right for me to name names, but we certainly saw last year 2 or 3 institutions that we would never have associated with having places available in clearing, offering them in the summer. Not in all courses, and it very much does depend on what it is that you want to study. Something like medicine is always competitive, and doesn't work the same way at that time of year. But there will definitely be lots of opportunity, and I think people should head over to the UCAS website on that results day morning to have a really good look at the range of places that are available.
I was going to ask about that in terms of courses, because obviously there'll be different institutions will have different vacancies, obviously, as the nature of the game is. But in relation to courses, broadly speaking, and it's very difficult for us now because we don't have A-level results coming through, so we don't know whether students have met the terms of the offers or not. But Are there normally any trends, subject trends, that we can think we would expect this area of courses to have more vacancies across the sector? Not, we can't talk as an institution because we don't know, but as a sector, would we say, look, these are the subjects where we probably could expect something to happen there?
Yeah, well, based on the subject trends we've seen throughout this cycle, where we've certainly seen a shift of applications towards the kind of obvious vocational courses, things like, law or engineering, for example, and away from some of the more traditional humanities, for example, like history. I think we will see good opportunities for students with great results to move around in those humanities disciplines. And any course that might be a little bit less kind of popular or usual, things like liberal arts, I think will be well represented in clearing at a number of different institutions. But I would also suspect that there will be good opportunities in some of the sciences. What we tend to see in science disciplines is students may miss a subject requirement, but otherwise have very good A levels. And a subject requirement at one university might not be quite the same at another university. And so there's often some good opportunities in the sciences as well. So I think generally speaking, it's there will be decent opportunities for students with good grades to take something of their pick. I mean, it probably is less likely that there will be loads of places available in disciplines like law or psychology or economics or management, which often attract a lot of applications in the first place. But I would never say never. This year in particular, Karl.
We will hold you to that. Let's talk about in terms of students. How the two questions. The first is, where's the best place for them to find out what courses are available on results day in terms of clearing? But the second bit is, when they get the results, can we talk through the steps of what we advise them to do in order to seek opportunities if they want to? Some of them would be very happy in terms of getting their results, and great. But if they want to seek other opportunities, what should they be doing?
Yeah. So obviously ucas.com will publish clearing vacancies, and we'll have a lot of very prominent information straight from its homepage on the various results days. Universities themselves will have vacancy listings. One very good tip this year, Exeter's been doing this for a long while, but lots of other universities are getting in on the act now of asking people to sign up for advanced clearing information. So basically, if a student is interested in seeing what's available with no commitment, they can register their interest for clearing information on a variety of different university websites. So if there are universities that advisors are aware students have been keeping their eye on or trying possibly to target, then it's always worth jumping onto Google and just Googling clearing information for X university and see if they have a sign up page. That sign up page may or may not give earlier access to the vacancy listings, depending on what the policy of that university is as to when they're released. And obviously, there is something called the UCAS embargo, which means that we have to keep information private until 8 a.m. on the morning of the relevant results day. So that's important to stress too. National newspapers as well, the Guardian, the Telegraph will typically publish some form of vacancy listings, but I would say UCAS and the individual university websites are probably the best sources for that. In terms of what will actually happen, again, if students sign up for that advanced information, there will typically be lots of good frequently asked questions and process diagrams available to them to talk them through the process. But the basic arrangement of events is that students should pick up their results, usually electronically from a school or college, but it might be going into school to get them. And then they should check their UCAS hub. That's the best way around to do it. But obviously it's up to students. They could check their UCAS hub first as soon as it's live on the morning of results day. That won't tell them their exam results. That will just tell them whether they've got into the university or college of their choice. So those two things need to happen first. And then the student may find that they are already indicated on the UCAS hub to be eligible for clearing. In which case, starting to look at those vacancies as quickly as possible from 8 a.m. is really important, and then reaching out to the universities that they're interested in. Universities handle that communication in different ways. Here at Exeter, our clearing vacancies, the application is entirely electronic. So we run an electronic application form, and we have agents available to help with that on live chat. But you don't need to spend a lot of time trying to get through to us on a telephone line. Lots of other universities may do this via telephone lines. We don't like making clearing offers over the telephone because it's a very insecure process, and sometimes people can be given the wrong information. It's very difficult to control that way. And certainly if we were thinking about sons or daughters of our own, we wouldn't advise them, for example, to turn down one university to take a place at another that they've only been offered verbally on the telephone. So we like to give people an email confirming their clearing offer. And if they use our online form, that's what they will be able to get. And then as soon as they've got a clearing offer, whether that is verbally or via email, from 1 o'clock on results day, they can go onto the UCAS website and actually submit that clearing application via UCAS. So that is all done via the UCAS hub. And the UCAS hub is the key resource that students need to be using throughout that results day.
So, Katherine, looking at and taking the first part, which is the course listing, there may be some universities that may be providing an indication of some subjects that they may be thinking of that will gain clearing. But from what you've said, the most accurate list will be 8 a.m. on A-level results day, which will have the confirmed finite number or number of courses that are gaining clearing from each institution.
Yes, the exception, Karl, would be, as I mentioned at the beginning, we do currently, we're just getting ready now for IB results and international results coming through from countries like Hong Kong, for example. And so there will be some international vacancies that are advertised earlier. Lots of universities will be advertising those vacancies specifically for international, and that might provide a little bit of a guide as to what might subsequently be available for home students. And indeed, some universities might make it very clear that there are home vacancies at this point. But they're very likely to then take that information down when we've got through the IB results phase and review it ready for the main August phase. So it will change between July and August in that instance.
So I guess the biggest piece of advice that we can give teachers and advisors joining us on this call today is, whereas there may be an inclination of what may come in August at this stage, go back again, because the confirmed list may change from what, given that we get the results and then do the analysis and then just see where the vacancies are, the confirmed list may come on that A-level results and may be different to what they've seen prior to that.
And I think that's why we get the whole mythology of clearing and results day, because it is a very fast-paced, packed morning where you've got to pick up your exam results, you've got to check your UCAS hub to see if you've got in. If you have to make a plan B, you've got to do that in a few hours on that morning, ready to get your clearing choice logged through the UCAS hub from 1 o'clock. I mean, actually, the clearing vacancies at some institutions will stay live for days and days, even longer than that. But the most availability of places will be visible at 8 a.m. on results day.
And you've spoken, Katherine, about the applicant making those inquiries and taking that sort of approach. At Exeter, we also have the teacher support line that allows a teacher or advisor to get in touch with us and discuss the sort of applicant on their behalf, as long as they're the nominated contact. So we also have a dedicated line for UK teachers and advisors that opens from 8:30 on that sort of results day. So it's open until 5 o'clock, but we have that as a different strand, so to speak. if the teachers want to get in touch with us and sort of, talk to us about a potential applicant.
Yes, yeah, and our own wider call centre, there really isn't a need for anyone to talk to us to confirm their place. But if there are complexities or people do need to contact us, then the main university line will be open from 8 to 6 p.m. on that Thursday and Friday, and then a shorter period of time on the Saturday. But we're all having a day off on the Sunday after results day.
That's always positive. Katherine, some of the other questions some of the applicants may have, and sort of teachers may get those sort of questions coming through, is we've spoken a little bit about whether an applicant dithers a little at that stage and says, I'm not totally sure whether I want to go to this university, what's available elsewhere. But also the other questions I have are, if, for example, they then start thinking about deferrals or taking gap years, etc., at that stage, should they be using that web chat as well, or is it a telephone call to the university? Is it an email? What does that look like?
Yeah, so certainly they can get general advice through that web chat, but specific things like course change requests really are best directed to our UG admissions email service, and especially if people can use the subject box of that email to clearly indicate what it is that they're asking about, because we will use keyword searches to pick up batches of queries about course changes, for example. It is important to stress on course changes that, of course, we understand very much that sometimes people change their mind, but there is a balancing act here between the wants and wishes of the candidate and what is possible on our side. So we always have quite specific targets for each of our disciplines, and we make offers through the year in order to fill that target. And so we cannot guarantee that just because you've had an offer for one course and you actually decide you'd prefer to have another, that we will have space for you on that other course. So a place on one course does not guarantee a place on another. The offer is for that specific course that you were given. It's always worth asking, because it's important not to come and study something you really don't want to do anymore. But it's important also to bear in mind that we're not able, sadly, to fulfill every request at that time of year.
And Katherine, it's a useful reminder for teachers and advisors in the call today as well. In terms of extenuating circumstances, we have our deadline of the 31st of July for any sort of circumstances to be submitted to the university. So the advice is, if anybody thinks there are particularly mitigating circumstances that we should know about, not to wait till results day, but actually to tell us in advance.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I'm sure it's understandable to people the sooner we have that information, the sooner we can get it logged in our systems appropriately and be ready to take account of it if we possibly can. And again, that's a balancing act between the individual circumstances and our responsibility to manage our numbers appropriately. Too many students on a particular course, even by one, can have really significant consequences. Some of our lecture theatres have, and in particular some of our laboratories, have a fixed capacity size. And oftentimes we're on our larger courses, we are already double teaching our first year cohort. And so we have a cohort size that's basically double whatever that laboratory capacity is. And if that goes over by one or two, literally the situation can become unmanageable. So it's not that we're being difficult or tricky or obstructive for the sake of it. It's because we're managing some really significant issues around teaching space capacity, staff capacity. And in some disciplines, like psychology, for example, there are professional body requirements that govern what the staff-student ratios can be on the course. So there will always be a reason why we have to take a difficult decision to say no. But with extenuating circumstances, Karl, I do want to stress that we do consider them very, very carefully. I can think of lots and lots of examples where we've been really flexible, where we've had the capacity to do so. And if we possibly can, we will always endeavour to help. They are considered very carefully.
That's great. We've reached the end of the sort of topics I want to cover for today, and obviously we're focused on clearing and confirmation as that's what's coming up, I guess, in the next sort of couple of months. For those colleagues who are joining us or listening to us afterwards, the website on your screen has information, and the sort of teacher's website has information on the teacher support line that's available on confirmation clearing on results day. So you've got the telephone numbers on there and the time, so please do reach out to us. You can also follow us on social media, so we have different accounts and different platforms, so please do use that. A massive good luck to all of you in terms of what's coming up next, and we'll see you back in September for the next episode. Katherine, huge thank you.
You're welcome, and see you all on the other side.
We'll see you soon. Goodbye.